Do you guys know why we were invited here?
I honestly thought Wither Basket had invited us.
Wicker Basket looks so stunning when she eats her cubes.
What happened to the lights? I bet you're all wondering why I've invited you here today. Is this a party?
Something like that.
For far too long, you have ruled over Love Try High with your long outdated tropes and stereotypes. Stereotypes? Yes, your stereotypes. But while you were busy with your cafes and love triangles, we planned from the sidelines. While you gathered here, unaware of our arrival, I ordered the armies of the Directional Duke to march on Love Try High. Oh no! You invaded a high school? And what's more, I seduced both of the two richest and most asexual men in town.
Oh no!
You'll never get away with this! This is terrible! You're terrible! What? No, I'm like a really good person. All of my servants think so. And, God. I'm like ordained by God. So yeah, I'm like literally perfect. I mean, take them away to the dungeon and let them starve! Oh! Around 2 years ago, I made a video about the common Webtoon tropes I had seen and hated. It had basically kickstarted my parasitic relationship with the site. I tried going back to watch it and see if my opinions still stand, maybe take a trip down memory lane, but as it turns out, I'd rather be drawn and quartered than have to sit and listen to that ever again. As the years have gone by, I've started to notice some other tropes that honestly seem to be a lot worse. Like, a lot worse. And I would love to tear into them like I do with my Dr. Pepper. But before we get into that, this video is sponsored by Unveil. That one looks like a swan. And that one looks like a tree. Unveil? Huh? That's not what I told him to write. Unveil is one of my favorite sites that I recommend to any artist, writer, or creator. When you create your user profile, you can upload everything from your original characters to the unique world they live in and even the traits that they have. You can explore Unveil in so many fun ways to discover like-minded individuals as well. There are community events you can participate in, there's a community tab to greet new users, and even a fun random button where you can find new artists you otherwise might have missed. But genuinely, my all-time favorite thing about Unveil is their never NFT and anti-AI policy they have in place, so you know the art you're seeing is made by someone just like you. Unveil is the best platform for sharing your characters, the worlds they live in, and so much more. The team at Unveil is dedicated to making their platform the best it can possibly be. And as I've worked with them, I just adore everything they do. Unveil is just such a good website. I wholeheartedly recommend it. With over 200,000 people on the platform, you are guaranteed to meet other like-minded artists. Click the link in the description down below to join for free, and thank you so much to Unveil for sponsoring this video. And now let's get on with the crappy Webtoon tropes. The Warlord, also known as War Maniac or War Hound or various direction-based scary dude. You know, Duke of the North, King of the South, you get it. The Warlord has often just come back from winning a war outside of the country where the story takes place. What was this war about, you may ask? I don't know, it happened over there. And now that it's over, they finally have time to come home and fall in love with our blonde protagonist. I've noticed that comics with this type of character tend to have less of a meet cute and more of a meet trauma, where instead of our female protagonist meeting a guy and sensing that spark immediately, she's more like really afraid of him on account of all of his various war crimes. It's funny because you'll click on a comic that's cover is 90% glitter and sparkles and girls in cute dresses, and then we'll start the comic by introducing our main male lead, Murder McStabby Face from beyond the northern border, who just killed 100 guys. I like my men how I like my coffee. Bloody and murderous. Sometimes literally. Also, if you're getting too hot and bothered, don't let these warhounds swoon you, ladies. They're also dogs. Like, literally dogs. Like, seriously, they're dogs. So many of these guys are Beauty and the Beasted into becoming, like, dogs. And not hot dogs or, like, furry dog guys, like, full-on wolves. Which, if I was a lady wolf, I guess would be pretty cool. Even when they don't just randomly anamorph into a dog, warhounds do still tend to have some type of curse or power that helped them become the #1 murderer in town, instilling fear into the hearts of all of those who hear their name. But not our wonderful female, though. She got that dog in her. Sometimes literally. Okay, I'm sorry. For whatever reason, rather than writing their male lead to be a vulnerable person with basic human emotions, most webtoon authors opt for a curse or power that makes him seem, I don't know, vulnerable? Azrahan from I Thought My Time Was Up is a perfect example of this, as he's been cursed to smell like rotting flesh everywhere on his body, except for his conveniently attractive face. Because of his curse, he finds it difficult to open up to others and be vulnerable, and instead is just murderous. I'm telling you, he's the perfect guy for you. Tall, handsome, killed the last of his enemy's bloodline, currently soaked in blood, feels no emotions, literally the perfect guy. What's the catch? He's not house trained. The weird thing is, for a character type defined completely by how much war they do, more often than not, this character will do little to no war in this story. And actually, it feels like the comic, who spent the first 5 chapters drilling into us that this guy is the warest of them all, really wants us to forget that they said any of that. Guys, he's such a sweetheart. Sure, he may have become legendary at the Battle of Murder Valley, but now he's just a little cinnamon roll. You think this man has killed before? There's not a thought in his head. Something they do to hammer this point in is that the war is always somewhere far away, which is why they're always like the Duke of the North or the Prince of Far, Far Away. I think the stories are trying to tell us, like, sure, he killed a bunch of guys, but that was like forever ago, and in Canada or something. He's totally chill now because he killed bad guys off screen. You know, bad guys? The type of guys that are bad and off screen. Don't worry about it. It creates this odd little bubble where the male lead is a cool badass and we should be scared of him and he should have some type of feelings towards the actions he's committed, but he just doesn't. He doesn't have any wartime trauma. He isn't proud of what he did in the war, but he doesn't regret it either. It can come off feeling like they barely even remember that they went to war in the first place. The way they talk about the war is the way I talk about what I ate for dinner last week. It has no real emotion to it, but it certainly happened, and now everyone is afraid of me because I ate like pizza or some shit. That said, the war does seem to have one effect on the male lead.
Yay!
Imagine this. You are Archduchy Himalaya Von Ice Cream Scoop. Your evil uncle Baron Von Nasty has married you off to get a great deal on like some minerals or something. And now you have to marry the Duke of the North, Edgar Big and Sexy. You're worried because you have the pussy power of like 13 virgins and you don't want anything done to you. But have no fear, Himalaya, because you've heard the rumor. The rumor that everyone in the kingdom knows. The one that will protect your pussy power. Edgar is not interested in women. Oh, so he's gay? No, this was written in South Korea. Asexual? I mean, I don't know how they feel about that in South Korea. No, he's not interested until... I'm joking, of course. It's not even really the boobs. I've talked about this before in My Child Will Have a Different Father video, and not to beat a dead horse, but hell, I feel like I'm being beaten because I keep finding comics like this, and something other than me and the dead horse needs to be beaten about it. What is this trope? Why are we doing this? Okay, so for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, many webtoon romances will have this trope of a very abstinent, sexually pure man. A man who is either rumored to be impotent or straight up just not into women. Again, not gay, not asexual. He's just one of those straight dudes who likes swordplay.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
And here's the thing, I do know a few people in my life like that who just don't care to date in this day and age. But none of them, in my experience, have one day decided to drop everything they do to become completely obsessed with the random girl they just met. I mean, admittedly, none of them have ever been sold a big titty pink haired anime girl before, but my point still stands. In the comic To Whom It No Longer Concerns, Ariana is trying to reclaim her music and does this by striking up a deal to marry Dante. While Ariana does not want to have marital sex, she is not worried because it is rumored across the country that Dante's PP no-go, which is honestly some crazy gossip because who on earth is starting these impotent rumors?
So, have you ever had sex with the king?
No, I don't think I have. Have you?
No, me neither.
Then that must mean...
Impotent!
Now, I, for the life of me, have been trying to figure out why when writing a romance you'd start off by saying, this guy don't got a romantic bone in his body. Well, he's got one, but it does not work. I feel like the main requirement for a romance story is that the two protagonists are attracted to the type of human being the other protagonist is. Starting a romance story with, oh, he's not even attracted to women, it's just like odd. But honestly, I could look past that if it weren't for the fact that they immediately go back on it. The two leads will meet up and immediately the male lead will be like,
Haha, I do like sex. I like sex with you right now, please.
like, for example, Prince Lutz from My Child Will Have a Different Father hates women. He doesn't even want to touch a woman. He doesn't even care when Hanale takes off her clothes in front of him unprompted. But then, the moment he smells her, he gets horny for her and immediately tells us about how he wants to be loved by a woman. This woman. Why? Well, because above the title it says romance, and someone's gotta romance the female lead so she can pump out an ugly webtoon baby. And speaking of the female lead, alright, something I have been coming across in these comics that kind of makes me a little mad is the fact that so many of these female leads are absolute menaces. It's something I keep repeatedly coming back to. I don't dislike stories with characters who are bad people, but I'm getting really annoyed at stories who beg me to agree that their character is a great person. Meanwhile, they're committing multiple Geneva Convention violations per day with a few casual felonies sprinkled on top. And in the case of one very special lady, this. Thanks to you, I won't feel guilty about this. Did you hit me earlier? He'll be sorry when my brother finds out what you did to me. All I have to do is say you were the one who attacked me. So tell me, who do you think they'll believe? The arrogant little princess who had the audacity to steal the Empress's dress? Oh, and don't worry, I had the maids change you out of it, so you wouldn't have to go through the trouble yourself. Hey, Zelda von Trova, what the actual f***? Now, that's not even the worst of Zelda. The lead of the acting Empress still spends the first night, but that is unfortunately a story for another, probably much longer video. All you need to know is that she is the devil and I hate her, and it's crazy that they keep saying she's a good person. Another example I found extremely egregious is the comic What Death Taught Me, where our protagonist Renette is burned at the stake for witchcraft and then reincarnated into her 16-year-old self. Here she meets, for the second time around, the antagonist of the story, Kana, who was recently adopted into Renette's family after her parents died in a horrible mining accident. Oh no! We as the audience are told that Kana is bad and evil and everything she does is wrong. But here's the thing, she isn't and it's not. From day one, we see Renette's goal is to continue living in luxury with her family and avoid, you know, being burned alive for witchcraft again. She wishes nothing bad to happen to her perfect little life she has been born into. Renette will stop at nothing to protect those she loves from Kana, the person she's deemed as just straight up evil. Kana also wishes to live in luxury to escape her terrible life being raised by two horrible alcoholic abusive minors. Like coal miners, not children. Her parents were adults. She will also stop at nothing to get the type of life Renette has. After Kana's parents die, she seduces Renette's father, Mr. Dikla Hilt. I forgot his name was that. Anyways, Mr. Dikla Hilt. Now, I feel like that might be partially, if not completely, on Mr. Dikla Hilt, as it's pretty easy, in my own personal experience, managed to not get seduced by a literal child who is 16 in the comic and 12 in the original novel.
You're so confident. Yeah, I've got that swagger that you have when you're not a pedophile.
But because Kana wins him over, he decides to bring her back to his house so she can live a life of comfort within the family. Renette responds to this poorly, as she has her sent to live with another working class family. Ugh, poor! Gross! More on that later. Renette later uses her powers of femininity to win over the crown prince, and this is shown to us, the reader, as a cool badass thing where Renette is the best. But it's not badass, it's just ass. The moment Kana does anything similar, she's portrayed as the villain. Again, 12 years old in the original source material, mind you. I just end up feeling bad for the villain in stories like these because the main lead is always one step ahead of them, always going to win and always going to have her way, when the villain was just shown to us as a poor person who wanted a better life for themselves. How dare you sympathize with Kana and not the rich girl who does all the same things as Kana? Because the author has written the protagonist to do virtually the same things as the villain, they then have to counteract that by making the villain this over-the-top mustache-twirling Hitler person, forcing you, the reader, to abandon all your sympathy because you don't want to relate to a mustache-twirling Hitler person, do you? Do you? And that does make it sort of weird to talk about a character like this, because on one hand, I find them very sympathetic and relatable and don't think the things they do are that bad. But on the other hand, they keep randomly kicking puppies. Like, I do have to acknowledge that that's real and that was written into the character, but since it does feel so out of character, I just get mad because it feels like they're doing this character dirty. It's just this odd flanderization of an evil person, where instead of having a character and reasons for doing bad things, they are just evil incarnate, born and raised. But actually, I guess it's fine to randomly villainize this character and hate them and call them stupid, but also really sinisterly evil, because while our protagonist is rich, this dumb bitch is a Alright, so most webtoons start off with a pretty decent ratio of rich characters and poor characters. For every princess or duchess, you'll typically find a pretty decent ratio of reincarnated maids and daughters of horrible gamblers sold into slavery. That said, it feels like webtoon authors set out with one goal in mind when they're writing characters, that being to make them as rich as possible as quickly as possible. That or the poor characters are the evil villains. It comes across as this strange form of classism where seemingly good characters can't be poor. Even if they are born or reincarnated into a poor person, they will within the first few chapters get married off to a rich person or miraculously find a money room in their house. But even that's not enough, because frequently after they've become rich, we'll go on to find out they've always been of rich royal blood, but the evil poor people separated them from their very virtuous white hair parents. Lucina from the Dragon King's Bride is a really good example of this. She starts out the novel born out of wedlock into a very minor nobility stepfamily who are very poor. But not to worry, her evil stepbrother goes out and finds a chest full of gold that belongs to the savage dragon people, who come and steal and marry Lucina in response. They take her to their kingdom, and Lucina frets because she's heard there's such savages who live in terrible squalor. But no, they're actually very rich and live in a city made of gold, and now she's their queen. But not to worry again! We find out later that she actually wasn't born out of wedlock. Her parents are like the king of the good guys and the queen of the bad guys, who all have infinite resources and power. Not only is she the queen of Tear, she is also the princess of like every other faction in this story. I just find it so aggravating because stories like these really come across as classist and unrelatable. It's one thing to have a character come into unrealistic wealth, but to always be telling us that the main characters are rich and not icky poor seems, dare I say, icky. I really dislike all of these tropes, and I'm getting really tired of seeing them. But there's one trope, one thing I keep seeing that makes all of these other tropes pale in comparison. One vile, hideous, ugly trope dragged from the maws of hell, from the depths of human insanity, the dark heart of mankind. Cubes. A six-sided shape. Cubes. Equal sides. Cubes, cubes. Drawing food is hard. How are we going to get out of here?
This dungeon is so much smaller than the one I have at home. Is this what I've been doing to people? That's horrible!
Don't worry, members of Love Try High. I, the richest man in town, am here to save you. I defeated the evil medieval trope gang, and I'm here to save you.
What?
Also, I'm all of your fathers.
Daddy?
Here's your inheritance, my children.
Hey, it's starting to get a little packed with money in here.
That's how you know you're special.
I can't breathe!
Thank you so much to my patrons, Izama, Roses and Water, Lady Alpossum, Nowhere to Xander, Icy, TJ, Menti Williams, Char Char, Lygon, Meep Cubed, Ale Heart, Anna the Giant, Abby Gale, Selena BB, Claudia E. Gomez, Blue Vamp Countess, Constellation, Pink Naya, Mies Coles Punk, Squidius, Kathleen O'Neill, Nevius Fox, Punchy McPuncherson, Stacy Child, Steel Angel, Dominus Bader, Fizzy Dizzy Studios, Jumping Spooter, Matt Nicky, Zany Gemini, Natalie Deer, Mashiru, and Sage Spalding. If you would also like to join my Patreon to have your name read aloud at the end of these videos, get early access to my main videos as well as my second channel's videos, and see my fully watercolored comic whips, you can join my Patreon for only $2 a month. I also have full comics available for digital purchase there as well. And as always, don't forget to check out Unveil. And thank you so much to everyone who made it this far. Without you, I wouldn't be able to make any of this content for you to enjoy. So I really appreciate you sticking around. Bye bye!